Hello fragrance fans, it's me, Captain Sensible. I'm back and Mr. Smays asked me to come back and introduce one of his videos again by giving you a rundown of what I've been up to this week. So this week I went fragrance shopping and I went to my local fragrance store and I said, have you got anything nice in the way of men's fragrances, you know, aftershaves and all that? And she says, what about this one? She showed me this one and it looked like a big gold bar. And I said, oh yeah, I like that, look at that, what's that one? And she said, it's Paco Rabanne. I said, oh yeah, tell me more. She said, it's 1 million. I said, oh, that's a bit pricey for me, have you got anything a little bit cheaper? So she said, how about this? She said, this is green Irish tweed. I said, oh yeah, what's that all about? She said, it smells like a walk in the Irish countryside. So I said, what, cowpats and drunk Irish farmers? No, thanks, I'll give it a miss. She said, well, what about this one? It's by Diesel. I said, oh, go on then, yeah, tell me more. She said, this is bad. I said, you won't last long in this job if you're that honest, love. Right, okay. Now, then I saw this other one in the corner. I said, hey, hang on a minute, I like the look of this. What's that one? She said, that is Rochers-Man. I said, I bet it is. She said, that's the 50ml. I said, have you got that in a larger size? She said, yeah, this is the 100ml. I said, I'll take it.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining me again. So today we're going to be doing my video on 5 fragrant things you didn't know about me. So this is a tag video. I think it was started by Manny from CASCADE Scents, who has a really great channel. I'll put the link in the description below. And the person who tagged me was Ryan from RyzFragz34, who again is a really excellent reviewer with a huge collection. He's got this fantastic cabinet of fragrances behind him, massive amounts of niche stuff, but he will review anything from the latest really high-end niche releases to cheapies. He did Nautica Voyage, and he'll pull out sometimes some really interesting old vintage discontinued fragrances, which I really like to see him review. One example of that recently, which got me going, was Dolce & Gabbana's By Man, which I watched it recently. He reviewed it a while back, and that is a really rare one that I'm desperate to get now, so it's kind of high up on my want list, thanks to RyzFragz34, so check out his channel. So the idea is to tell you 5 fragrant things about me, get to know me a little bit better, and tell you some stuff that's a bit candid, and I might not have mentioned very often or at all before on the channel, so let's get stuck into it. Number 1, so a really important one, is how did my fragrance journey start? Well, it all started really recently. It's only a couple of years back that I got into fragrances, and I was basically run out of my signature scent at the time. I wasn't heavily into fragrances. I had one scent that I'll talk about later that I just wore all the time. I'd been wearing it for a long time, and it ran out, and I decided it was time to change up my game. I'd actually recently become single, so it felt like a good time in my life to change things a little bit and try and up my game. So I looked on Google and then on YouTube, and I think I must have typed in fragrance reviews or something. I can't remember if it was the first video I ever saw, but the really influential one was Jeremy Fragrance on La Nuit de l'Homme. It's a famous video. I'll put the link in the description, and it's quite a long one by his standards, and it was his really impassioned advocacy of La Nuit de l'Homme as a fantastic fragrance. So here it is, and based on that I decided I was going to go and get a bottle. So I went to the store and sniffed it. It did smell really good. It's a lovely, sweet, spicy fragrance characterised by perhaps a main note of cardamom with some lavender in there and some nice woody notes. And of course, at that time I didn't know all this stuff about the reformulation issue. And it's only when I bought it and read some other reviews online, people said it's been reformulated, you have to get the old one, all of this stuff. So I still think it's a really nice fragrance. It's not massively strong, but it is a very delicate and pleasant scent to wear any time, actually, pretty much all year round, daytime, nighttime.
Daytime, nighttime, anytime is the right time.
It's no longer one of my top favourites, but I really owe Jeremy Fragrance for it being so impassioned and presenting this show so professionally and so well that it really had an impact on me. He's the kind of person you think, well, if he likes something a lot, he looks like someone who knows what he's all about, it's worth checking it out. So that was my first fragrance on my proper fragrance journey in becoming a fraghead, and pretty soon I was hooked. I watched loads of different videos. Lex Ellis was one that I found really funny. Greggy Boy 76. I'm not going to start listing too many names because I don't want to leave people out. There's so many great reviewers. Redolessence, Mark Robes 8, Manny actually was just only around the time that Manny came out. I was still just getting into it, and quickly soon after that I did start up my own channel. So thanks to everyone who inspired me, but the number one person I have to admit, Jeremy Fragrance with La Nuit de l'Homme. Moving on from that then, what was my signature scent that I decided to dump after 10 years? It was this one. For 10 years, Fragrance fact number 2 then, for 10 years I wore a Homme Sport from the house of Chanel. This was my signature scent, so a great fresh scent, a great all-round. It was released in 2004. I bought it because I went in the shop, smelled it off the magazine little sniffer strip. I thought that it seemed really good and fresh. I wanted that fresh, clean, crisp smell, and this is like something you would wear wearing a white Lacoste polo shirt or something. Has lots of aquatic notes, a little bit of woodiness and some sort of creaminess in there, and a very pleasant, fresh, perhaps slightly generic some would say, but a very well done example of a good citrus fragrance that's suitable all year round. So a Homme Sport, for 10 years I wore this, just over, and I haven't re-upped on this bottle. I have put it in a couple of lists advocating it, but I think it's fair enough that I can now move on and wear other things, but for other people I still recommend this one. It's a great fragrance. Number 3 then, another fact about me that you might be interested to know is I pretty much like all fragrances, at least a little bit, and there are no fragrances notes that I dislike. So a lot of people have fragrance notes that they can't stand. Some people don't like vetiver, for instance. Some men don't like to wear rose fragrances. And of course, a lot of people dislike oud. So, for example, 24 Gold. You may have seen me do a lot of videos with Claire from the Smurfy Girly channel. She can't stand any oud in a fragrance. There's just a smidgen of it in this one, and for that reason, she just, as soon as she smells it, get it away from me, I don't like it. With me, anything goes. There's no fragrance note that I really dislike, and I do enjoy pungent stuff like this. Maybe I don't wear it super often, and I also, you know, even if I smell stuff that I probably won't give a positive review of, such as, Invictus by Paco Rabanne, it still smells mildly pleasant. It's just not as pleasant as other things. So I'm very much a happy clapper when it comes to fragrances. So if you wonder why I don't ever give reviews, I've seen other reviews saying, this is awful, it smells like paint thinner, as soon as I had to scrub this off. Very rarely does that happen to me. I think all fragrances are nice. It's a bit like wine or beer. There are better ones, but when you're in the mood, any wine or beer, a really hot day, and you give me a Bud Light, even though it's not the world's most highly ranked beer by beer aficionados, it hits the spot, right? And any fragrance smells good to some extent. There are some more great than others, but there's very little out there that I would sort of give a 3 stars out of 10 review and say I hate it. So I'm a bit of a happy clapper when it comes to fragrances, and I tend to just focus on reviewing the ones that have caught my interest most, and give you the ones that I really like mainly, or sometimes I try and review new releases whether I like them or not. So that's where you might see some more ambivalent reviews with the new releases where I think it's relevant, people want to know about it, but I'll very rarely say it sucks and I hate it. I don't get angry about fragrances. There are other things to get angry about, so fragrance is not one of them. Number 4, one of my other hobbies when I'm not dealing with fragrances is me and my friend Dave. We've got these air rifles, and we just love to go out and shoot cats with them. It's so funny. Nothing really beats that thrill when they're not lethal. You just, the cat's sitting there unexpected, and to see them jump so high in the air, it just cracks me up any time. There's just nothing beats it. What? You what? You don't think I should put that in? Right. People won't like it. Cruel. They don't die. Okay. So just stick to the fragrances, you think? Okay. Alright, fine. Yeah, sorry. I see your point. Okay. Right, so the next one, that was next fragrance fact, I think this is number 4. The scent that I used to wear as a kid growing up was Givenchy Gentleman. So when I was a teenager in my very early 20s, it was my dad's Givenchy Gentleman that I used to pinch to wear as my fragrance, and I just wore it all year round. It's a very pungent fragrance. It's got civet, the animalistic note in there. It's got honey and cinnamon, very rich. Loads of patchouli in this one. So it's a very heavy, old school kind of fragrance, sort of predating things like Kouros, but has some of that same animalic feel, but a totally different smell. And yeah, I must admit, when I grew up, it didn't matter. I can remember going on a date when I was younger once, and it was a really hot summer's day, early summer, and I splashed on Givenchy Gentleman, which would not be an appropriate date scent in the hot weather, I wouldn't say now. But actually the date went well, so it's obviously something in it. And I still have an old vintage bottle here that I've bought more recently since my fragrance journey began. So that was my scent of choice growing up. Okay, last but not least then, fragrant fact number 5. My first niche purchase was Aventus by Creed, and I got into fragrances after Aventus had been out many years. It was already hyped up in the fragrance community, so I'd watched so many videos saying how great it was. good place to start with niche. I've got this little bottle. I paid full retail for a 90ml bottle, which I would never advocate anyone to do. I didn't know how things worked back then, and I thought maybe I'll only wear it for special occasions, so stupidly thought I'll only need 30ml. That was a bad move. I've got another decant of it too in here, and so I probably won't run out for a while. Great fragrance, and is a good place to start if you're on a niche journey, just discovering the world of more exciting fragrances. Not my favourite niche one, but it was a good place to start. So that's it, except I've got to tag a couple of other people. So let's see who I'm going to tag. The first person, I'm going to be brave, and I'll tag Jeremy Fragrance, because I did mention him as starting my fragrance journey. And you never know, he might do it. 5 fragrant things about me. It could be the kind of thing that might fit with his channel. So I'll tag Jeremy Fragrance. If you're watching, Jeremy, it'd be great if you could do it. If not, no problem. And who else am I going to tag? I think I will try and tag Stephen from Redolessence. Stephen from Redolessence, one of the great reviewers out there, and I don't think he's been tagged in this series yet, so I'm going to tag him too. Check out all of their channels, and I'll see you in my next video. Keep smelling great, and remember, whatever you're doing in life, let's project. Bye bye.